All right. I'm going to stop doing this more than once and just do the goddamn thing. It is Fantasy Chess 7. Um, I'm just going to take a moment to talk about the units where it's in a video that I don't get to complete. Um, I would just like to go over some of the things that are going on with them and not have to deal with uh, um, another reset similar to this where someone dies after I give a good bit of expose. Um, so we don't have to relive the horror, the game over horror of someone being dead. In this case, any of your lords dying, Eliwood, Hector, or Lyn, causing a game to restart. So instead, I am going to just make an abbreviated episode where we talk a little about the units and about, I don't know, their differences, what goes on, a little bit about mechanics, and then I will try and go on and successfully complete this chapter, which I have failed to do several times at this point. Oh, the status bar is up on this. Give me 1 second. Ooh. Ba, 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 ba. I hope that eliminates it. So the whole aspect about this chapter is that you have the meetup of Hector's party and Eliwood's party. And yeah, there's some banter and some discourse here. Hector is as straightforward and headstrong as usual. I never wanted this to lean into the narrative too much, but I also don't want to hit start and skip it. For those of you that haven't ever played the game, the story plays like, obviously a bit of a role. It is a strategy RPG, so that is a thing. I'm focusing more about the combat and tactics and the maps and the units myself. So yeah, we have Hector's squad here. It contains Hector, pretty great lord. He's got some bulk. He's got some attacking power. He's one of my favorite lords on the series. Good unit overall. He has his pitfalls that usually has to deal with resistance or speed. But he's a solid guy. Oswin is one of the best armor knights of the series. And the two of them are going to protect Vanessa and Matthew here, whom we've seen in prior episodes. Oswin is nice. He's got B rank lances. He's got a great stat pool. He can deal a shitload of damage. He's pretty immune to anything but magical damage. Solid guy. His 5 speed holds him back. But overall, and with the low speed of people in this game's environment, he's successful at what he does. He's quite nice. We have Hector. We love him. He's pretty solid. He also suffers in speed a bit, but generally he digs himself out of that pit. I failed to level Hector a shitload in the past chapter, and if I'm not mistaken, he did not level speed. I will have to fact check that. But He's got a long way to go level-wise, and it's nice because he also promotes kind of late. In this fan patch, I think it's going to be chapter 26 as opposed to chapter 28, I believe, what it is normally. So, um, he kind of has his work cut out for him in a way, but he's very effective through the early and mid game, just with his base stats being what they are. As long as he levels speed a little bit, he's going to kind of be a powerhouse. His 5 move kind of holds him down just like any infantry unit does when they're unpromoted. They only gain 6 move once they promote. So his luck's also a bit mediocre, but it's usually high enough to not have to worry about being crit by enemies too badly. More so what I wanted to talk about is the joining of Eliwood's party here. So we'll start with Eliwood himself. Overall, he's a decent unit. He doesn't shine spectacularly. When he does promote later in the game, he does gain a horse. Thank you, Trapper. Squeak, squeak. In this playthrough, in this ROM with the improved hard mode, Eliwood has +2 strength and +2 speed. Normally that'd be 5 and 7 respectively, so he has been slightly touched up a bit. He's level 1. He isn't awful. We'll see what the changes to these bases might mean for him in the long term. However, I'm not overly I don't know. I'm not excited per se. But he's fine. He has the rapier in this fan-made patch. It's going any effective weapon, including the rapier, and bows to flyers, armor slayers to armor knights, or any armored unit, etc., etc., etc. They're going to do triple damage instead of double damage, which is nice. So he's not going to be a waste. And he's got Cian swords. And when he promotes, he'll gain access to lances as well as being mounted. So he'll move up to, I think, it's either 7 or 8 movement. I should know that already, but I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've played through this. But that's Eliwood. He is fine. We are playing the Hector version of the campaign, this boy, as opposed to the Eliwood version of the campaign. It's a little tougher. Then we have Bartra. Bartra is interesting. Want to like him. Love his personality. Bartra's thing is he's a bit slow. The creator of this hack gave him +3 speed. So it would normally be 3, which is god awful. Which has him starting to get doubled within a map or so. I think he's just going to need the +3 speed to even exist in this increased stats run where the enemies are that difficult. Obviously, he has good strength. He has good con. He's got 13 con, so he doesn't get weighed down by hand axes. He doesn't get weighed down by iron axes in any way to take speed deficits. Nevertheless, he's quite slow, and he has a pretty paltry speed growth. If I remember, it's somewhere around 35% per level, so I'm not really expecting a lot out of Bartra, but use Bartra. We're going to use him at least for this map, maybe 1 or 2 more depending on deployment slots, but Hector's hard mode has a renowned level of low deployment slots. The other fighter being Dorcas, but Dorcas got to come through Lynn's pre-campaign, which I did on a hard mode run. So he is level 10. He can promote technically, and he has obviously better stats because he did level up quite a bit, and I had to use him quite a bit to get through that Lynn campaign, the precursor, prologue, whatever, tutorial campaign, but it was also on hard mode. So he had to get used, and he has some alright stats. He's got really good skill for a fighter. It's kind of like as opposed to Archer, you can see 9, 5, 6, 4, 4, and that speed was buffed. 11, 12, 10, 5, 9. Dorcas did get +3 defense also from the creator of this ROM hack. So you can read that as like a 6 defense kind of thing. Fighters normally have high HP pools and somewhat mediocre defense, but they have good strength. But he's actually got a decent bit of speed about him, and actually really great skill for his class. I feel like his strength is actually under-leveled considering, but he has the highest chance to normally raise that. Honestly, this might be a playthrough where I finally use him. He's already halfway through B in Axis too. If he gets to A and has a couple more good level ups before I ever encounter a Hero Crest to fast promote someone, I mean, maybe it's Dorcas. The other sad thing about it is the warrior class, which is what the fighter class promotes into, isn't the shining example of prowess in this game. They gain access to bows, which now have triple effectiveness against flyers, which is nice. But I'd much rather him buff up on stats, gain any kind of resistance. I don't know. There's just a lot of lackluster areas about him still, even though he is so buffed up from his levels A and from Lin mode actually gaining hard levels in this pre-campaign. So we'll see about Dorcas. It might be the first time I actually use him, and we will see how it goes. Then we have Lowen. I really love Lowen. He is your nice token example of a defensive paladin, and in this playthrough, the creator has given him +2 defense to kind of, just like Kent and Sane, whom you'll meet later, and who were in the Lin pre-campaign / prologue. He has, like, kind of a robust body about him, no pun intended, but he can take some hits. His luck's not that great. His speed is mediocre. He kind of has enough skill to hit and enough strength to hurt down people and weaken them for other units. And generally speaking, if you give him a few levels, he will start to double if his speed and strength go up a bit, and he can become quite versatile, especially because he has 10 con, so he can wield things like lances, weight 8 there, top right. He can wield them without any kind of penalty, which is nice. But we'll have to see how he develops. He is sometimes made broken by his own unique leveling. However, generally speaking, pretty good unit, at least reliable and usable for a lot of the early and mid game. I like him a lot. And we have Rebecca. Rebecca got the nice shining bonus in this game of +3 speed as well. She is the fast archer, in quotes. And with bows now having triple effectiveness as opposed to double effectiveness, could find a home in the team. Probably not. This game is I'm going to say it probably a few times, but it's an enemy phase game. It is not a player phase game. What that means is a lot of what the map revolves around is on the opposite phase of the phase you control. So you will do some things like heal your own units, reposition them, end turn, and then the enemy turn starts. And you have to go against waves of enemies. And people like archers that don't have 1-2 range, but only have 2 range, are significantly weaker because it's hard to position them normally in such a way where they can only engage people in that kind of combat. However, she does have a pretty sick starting speed now with the +3 speed. It's one of those units, because she's level 1, she will gain experience quickly and she can pop off, but I would say like 75% of the time, it's not a unit you end up using in the long term past these few early chapters. We'll see what happens with her. Many things in this playthrough are going to be different for me just because of a few of the changes. A few of the changes being like the triple effectiveness that bring it back to the Japanese version, unlike the American version that I'm used to that was released. But we'll see. And lastly, we have Marcus here. Marcus is a god. He is one of the best units in the series. Definitely one of the top 5 units, if not top 3, if not arguably number 1 for this game. He doesn't have the growths of a Fire Emblem 8 Seth per se, but I mean, you can see he is a paladin, so he is the promoted class of a cavalier. And if you just want to, I'm trying to compare and contrast here easily. All right, he's 2 above Marcus here, or 2 above Lowen. 15 strength, 15 skill, 11 speed. Speed being like his weaker spot. 8 luck, 10 defense, 8 resistance. You can see where he is just a cut above even someone like Lowen, who is pretty solid, and Lowen is quite defensive as well. Just enabling some comparison there for you as a viewer. Oh, excuse me. Marcus is all around great. Can do a lot of things. Like any mounted unit, he can canto, aka like finish the remainder of his movement after completing certain actions in a turn. In this game, he gets access to swords, lances, and axes as a paladin, so he can completely break the weapon triangle. The guy is just an unstoppable force, and he has great ranks in all the weapons as it is, right at base, right at the beginning of the game. No S's, but that doesn't matter. A swords, A lances, B axes. The guy is an unstoppable monstrosity. And he is 11 con. So, like, Silver Lance doesn't even weigh him down. Steel Blade does by 3. Steel Blade's kind of trash anyway for that reason. The guy is just a beast, and he is an 8 of 14, so he can also help rescue anyone with con 14 or less. It might be 13 or less, and I might be misspeaking, so don't quote me quite on that. It's been a while since I've done a whole playthrough of this. But he is like the best unit in the game. He's amazing. I'm going to end this right here. I just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. While she is introduced in this chapter, she doesn't get an introduction. She just magically appears with Oswin. Let me do these guys. Sarah is... she was present in Lynn's campaign, which is why she has some XP there and some additional levels. Sarah's alright. She is not complete trash, but there's a healer that you get soon who is mounted. So she is a little bit better. We'll meet Priscilla later on. But my Sarah's actually fairly decent. She's got some speed, she's got some luck, which makes her able to dodge. She's just got 8 resistance, so if any magical attacker is attacking over like the first line of defense and hitting her, she's gonna live, which is nice. She is not garbage, or at least as garbage as she sometimes is. Excuse me. She's got B rank staves. She's a lot better than Tasha in Fire Emblem 8, but that's a whole separate discussion. We'll kind of see what happens with Sarah in this playthrough. I could honestly just kind of like Dorcas. She's kind of on the line, and I could see myself using her because of the pre-campaign's experience bonuses. But traditionally, she tends to fall a little short of the benchmarks that you would want, and tends to be a little too squishy and a little too vulnerable. And should you ever make a mistake, then she's dead. But she's looking solid for this extra hard mode, I guess. And I guess we didn't truly talk about Oswin. B rank in lances, he's level 9. He's got 14 con, so he's being able to use all of lances without any speed penalties, which is nice because his speed is quite low. Obviously, as an armor knight. Oswin is one of the franchise's best starting armor knights, or in this game, it's just called Knight. He's got a massive amount of strength, a great amount of skill actually also for the class to let him be able to land hits. And if he's against sword users who he has weapon triangle advantage over, or lance users just equal, he's actually going to land his hits. And he has a ton of defense and a decent HP pool. And he's got a touch of resistance, which is fine. A touch of luck just to keep from getting crit, but not any kind of luck to be noteworthy about. The problem is he moves 4, and he's just generally not that useful past the early game. But he's a stalwart line of defense for the early game. He's one of those kind of characters where if you want to pour a little bit of investment into him, I mean, you can get him to level 10 and promote him to a general. It's just that consumes a Night Crest, and a Night Crest could be used on Lowen, or Kyle, or not Kyle, sorry, that's FE8, or Sane, or Kent, one of the other 2 Cavaliers that'll come in the near future. So it's kind of a wash. Usually tend to deploy him as he is and let him help you, let him help you get through the early game, and that's usually it. But he is a nice addition to the team, and he's super fucking strong at this point. And I think with that, it's going to conclude my little unit wrap up.